It's not another Buffalo podcast with Jon.
Boy, Phoebe.
Pat.
I'm just a dad talking in a closet.
And Brando.
They're not even eating Doritos. They're eating the knockoff Doritos that don't have the cheese powder on them.
Those are called tortilla chips, Brandon. Welcome back to Not Another Buffalo Podcast. I'm Jon. I'm here with Brando. Here on a Wednesday evening, I decided to catch Brando mid-yawn when I rolled off the show. Just out of nowhere. It's a quick punch.
I'm back.
You guys know where to find us on all platforms at Not Buff Podcast. Big thanks to our sponsor, Small City Realty, Zach Korzelius. You can contact him at 585-409-1088 if you're looking to buy, sell, or manage property in Western New York. He is our guy. 585-409-1088. So Brando, sorry, I'm going to be a little bit short of breath this episode because we're fending off the cold here a little bit. It's it's not quite there. This is the post-Thanksgiving travel. I might have something, I might not. Try not to push the larynx too hard because that seems to open things up, right? It's looks like the Steelers defense with the run game. Brandon is doing product placement for vitamin water right now.
Sponsor us. But vitamin dragon fruit, it's everything you need to fight a cold. Boom.
I guess so.
Refreshing and healthy.
Including what's that thing sweetened with? How much sugar are you intaking with that?
Do we really want to know? It's 27 grams. 27 grams.
I mean that's like what, half a soda can?
Yes.
I guess that's not
It's
terrible.
not that bad. All right. It's not that bad. If you're active and you're healthy, 27 grams in a drink, it's okay.
How many of those do you have a day?
2.
All right. So 1 can of soda worth a day.
Yeah, but that's like all the sugar that I eat. Is that
all right. Well, Darius Slay claimed by the Bills. I was kind of blown away by this move, honestly, because I wasn't expecting it at all. But to me, this reads as, and tell me if you think anything different, this is just like we've been burnt in the past. This is insurance policy. I mean, Christian Benford doesn't play in the Kansas City game last year. That's probably a large reason why they lose that game, even though I think the biggest reason that they lost was their offense didn't produce enough.
Well, you could say Kyrie Elam was trash, but even if Benford was in, I don't know. I feel like they were running wide open schematically with Andy Reid. So you could have had...
Would have helped a little bit, I feel like.
Yeah. I mean, you really only need 2-point difference, right? You need to stop.
You needed something.
Yeah.
So is a healthy Christian Benford worth 2 points in that game? I feel like it is.
Probably.
But you know it's worth more than 2 points? Having your offense having an explosive passing game.
A field goal.
A field goal. Yep. That helps too. So I hear.
My first impression on this move was desperation. And it made me think that Brandon Beane does not think this is a championship caliber roster when you're adding a guy like this at this point of the season, like he said a couple weeks ago. As you said your sentence, I am flashing back to the dozens of times on this show that I said you need to have insurance policies so you're not calling AJ Klein off the beach and you're not playing Joe Andreessen as a rookie undrafted free agent in a playoff game. So what better insurance policy than a 6-time All-Pro Super Bowl champion, Darius Slay, for very little money, right? They waived Jamarcus Ingram to open up a roster spot. I kind of liked Ingram. I thought he had some moments, but everybody should have moments in this Sean McDermott defense.
Sure.
It seems to be, I don't want to call it easy to be good in this defense because we have seen it not be good, but there's been a lot of success stories through this defense. And mind you, Jon, I don't know if you have followed this stat at all. It's a very interesting stat. Bills are like 32nd against the run, maybe like 28th now after the game against Pittsburgh, but they're first in the league against the pass, which is also interesting because teams don't have to pass against you.
Sure. When
they're running the ball for 200 yards against you. But it's a positive stat for this team if we could spin it that way, I think, because they've done all right against the pass. They haven't needed it, but the list of quarterbacks they're playing, it's always a question mark with this team. They destroy the bad quarterbacks, not named Davis Mills in 2025.
Sure.
So I'm not upset with it. Do you want some stats here? I got an interesting stat here. Last time
with the Pat Caprio box score special.
Darius Slay's box score special. So first thing I'll give you is the last time this season that Darius Slay played the Bengals was with the Steelers, and Ja'Marr Chase had 160 yards, and the Bengals win, right? And
what role was he playing in their defense? Like, was he cornerback 2?
he was matched up against Ja'Marr Chase.
Okay.
While he was matched up against Ja'Marr Chase, he allowed 6 catches for 80 yards. So the other half of his production was against other players, not Darius Slay. 6 for 80 against the all-pro number 1 wide receiver in the NFL. I mean, I'd probably take that, but he also ended up with double
that.
So
yeah,
they were also hurt. There was a big article on it because PFF ripped Slay a new one after that game, but I believe Jalen Ramsey was out. They were starting another safety, and those safeties blew a couple coverages that got blamed on Slay. So his PFF grade was pretty bad, but he like took it out. He went to Twitter and he said, "I know you guys lying here," was his quote. So he was upset with that because there's a lot of things that go into that with the safeties, which we have seen this year with bad safety play, whether it's Taylor Rapp or I don't know, DeMar, if he's out there, which he didn't look terrible when he was out there, but Cole Bishop and Jordan Poyer seem to help. And I think they help the corners. And I think when a running back scores 200 yards in the game, it helps corners because they don't have to do anything. So I don't know. He was a healthy scratch against Buffalo. It's always interesting to see a team play another team the same week, right? So like Slay's on the roster for Pittsburgh against Buffalo. Then he comes to Buffalo the next week. So that's always interesting to me. But
yeah. You brought up a good point there, which actually kind of transitions into my proposed episode topic here, which is perfect, which is you said, and I haven't verified this. So like, if we got it wrong, it's on Brando, not on me. No, I'm just kidding. You said their defense in some kind of metric, whether it's total yards or anything like that, or total points, maybe, but it's probably total yards. They're 32nd against the run and 1st against the pass.
Could be wrong about the run defense as of today. I believe they are the number 1 passing defense against at the moment.
For yards against.
For yards against. Yeah.
Okay. So again, those might change if you're doing yards per play.
Yeah.
If you break it down that way, because again, that chasm is probably indicative of how teams have run against them this year and the running defense. But it's like philosophically, Sean McDermott doesn't care when a team runs on him because it's important to pass and stop the pass, right?
It's my favorite thing about this guy.
It's such an enigma because it's like you see him prioritize the right things on defense, and then philosophically on offense, the way that he builds his team is we want to run the ball.
It really
we want to stuff it down people's, and we saw a successful version of that this week, right? So I kind of want to talk about that because this was a historical performance by the Bills rushing offense against the Steelers defense. The most rushing yards that have been in that building and other Pittsburgh buildings in 50 years or whatever, right? Hang the banner, 250 rushing yards. My first thought is like, we never freak out when somebody throws for 250 passing yards,
regular
right?
Day.
Is a rushing yard better than a passing yard, right? Because you might say, okay, probably less turnovers for those yards. Obviously, it's more plays and stuff like that. So it's actually a lower average per play. But I did some digging into this. So turns out that actually 250 passing yards is still better than 250 rushing yards, even all other things being created equal because of EPA per play. Obviously, 250 passing yards, has some explosives in it, whereas rushing yards, you have to have a success rate that's consistently above a certain mark, right? Yep. So we're at this weird juxtaposition where the Bills have achieved the Sean McDermott vision of the number 1 rushing offense in the NFL. And what did we do to get it? We nerfed our quarterback and we made him a glorified game manager that, gives us some juice when we need it in the rushing game, right? Like there's still that. But this passing game, and I'm not trying to say that Josh is nerfed, but it's like this passing game is so neutered. Thank you.
Yep.
That's the word that I'm looking for. Right. And it's like it's had some games this year. Back into the Baltimore game, it came out of nowhere. Some big explosive plays against Kansas City. Also, I'd be fine. I'd sign up for that passing offense for the playoffs all day. So it's like the ability is there theoretically. Dalton Kincaid missing probably doesn't help anything. But again, on most weeks, it doesn't actually show up against most defenses. So anyway, also the other thing that I kept thinking about, I saw a couple of people tweet about this, was everyone loves the cliches, the running game travels in the playoffs, right? Yeah. So I sought out to answer the question, does the running game actually travel in the playoffs? And I didn't actually dig too dive. I just wanted to find if someone else had dug into this before. Okay. So I did find a couple of people who have dug into this before. Does that hold up, or is that just sentiment? It's just sentiment. The short answer is no. What the stats say is that the running game in the playoffs, having a good running game, it gives you a floor, right? But we all know that the passing game determines your ceiling.
Yes.
Right? All these teams that have made it really deep these past few years and have done it consistently, Chiefs, Eagles, I don't know who else you want to throw
for
into
the
that.
Eagles.
Niners, Ravens, any of these teams. It's all,
it gets
some
you
of
in
those
the
teams
door.
have a rushing, some of those teams have a rushing identity, but it's like, these are teams with explosive passing games that have a passable running game, right? Kansas City is a good example of pretty much no running game most of the time these years, and it's still made it work. Yeah, definitely has bit them this year.
I think that's interesting when you list these teams. Like Eagles last year, Barkley almost did he hit 2,000? He was close to 2,000, but in that Super Bowl, it was Jalen Hurts.
He was nowhere to be found.
Yeah, so it got you to the dance, but you needed to put on some tap shoes, Jalen Hurts, and get that arm moving to win this game. So
yeah, absolutely. That's a great point. But anyway, the Hawk blogger did a piece on this in 2020, so it's a little bit dated. But basically, the deep dive into the stats says this: if you want to know who will win, look at how well they throw and defend the pass, not how they run. Because a team's rushing performance and a team's passing performance, one of those two is much more indicative of how much a team wins, and it's the passing offense.
Yeah.
I mean, look at all these teams. If we looked at the number one rushing offenses the past couple of years, last year might actually be an outlier with the Eagles being one of the top rushing offenses and actually being around for the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But anyway, obviously there's not that much of there is a difference between playoffs and regular season. So that's kind of where the sentiment comes from, because it's like everyone typically thinks of outdoor games, snowy weather and stuff like that.
So you go playing the 20 domes that exist.
Exactly. There's that too. But like, if you have to play outdoors in bad weather, having a good running game helps with that. Obviously, I'm not trying to dispute that. And this is a Buffalo team that hosts playoff games, so that's helpful in that regard as well. We've also seen this Buffalo passing game rip it up in this stadium in inclement weather before as well. So,
and we've watched their running game struggle in the snow also.
Yep.
Bengals, right?
Yeah.
Like it happened.
Yeah. Yeah. And also this whole rushing game travel, another thing that played into that I found was that it is tougher defenses that force you to play left-handed. So it might be that you might need to lean on your running game because defenses are forcing you to do that with lighter boxes, all that stuff. But yeah, anyway, that's basically the whole thing, is that this whole vision of having the best rushing offense in the NFL is not a substitute for a great passing offense. And 250 yards is 250 yards. It's better if you pass for it, actually. Again, like this whole approach to, we want to play tougher. We want to control the line of scrimmage. We want to have this dominant run game that we can run at you. The Bills want to be able to run at you with the same play like they did, where they were playing
times or whatever,
run duo or whatever over and over and over again and just spamming it from different formations. You'd love to be able to do that to a team. Unfortunately, most teams are not going to let up like the Steelers did in all that situation. And yeah, I don't know. Like it's kind of like being one-dimensional as an offense is a bad thing, right? Always. You want to be able to do both.
Yeah.
Being one-dimensional as a run game versus being one-dimensional as a passing game is way worse to be one-dimensional as a running only offense.
Yeah. I find that interesting because let me formulate my thoughts here. I got a few points to make. My first point about it is a yard passing better than a yard rushing? And I would say it's interesting because when you pass, are you more likely to get a pass interference call your way, or are you more likely to get a holding call at your offensive line?
So all of this is baked into EPA per play.
Okay.
And EPA per play for those passing yards, it's just way higher when you pass, because think of explosive plays. An explosive run is like 10 to 15 yards, right? The explosive pass
15, right? Or is it? It's like there's a line on the chart.
I mean, for stat tracking, yes, there's a line, right? But your typical explosive run is going what, 10 to 15 yards? Your typical
8 to 15. Yeah.
The moral of the story is explosive passes are more yardage than explosive runs, right?
Yes.
So your ability to have those, it's, again, if you look at passing yards per completion versus rush yards per attempt.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I think even the Bills did.
A great rushing team is going to have 5 yards a carry. A great passing team is going to be 8, 9, 10 yards per completion.
Yeah.
Or yards per attempt even.
Yeah. That's a good point. That's a really good point. And my thought behind it is maybe, I don't know, I'm sure EPA doesn't register this when Sean McDermott's yelling toughness, toughness, toughness is the only thing. And I agree with you. I don't ever listen to me if I'm telling you to run the ball more. All right. If you ever hear me tell you run the ball more, Sean McDermott has a gun behind my head. Like he's in my kitchen right now telling you.
Again, like play choices, like going forward, that's where this gets kind of muddy, right? Because the Bills are clearly better running at the ball than they are passing the ball. So I might take a step back and say, okay, well, the solution for this doesn't mean spamming throws. The solution is having better receivers so you can throw the ball better.
I agree with that.
And we're kind of past the point where we can't get that this season,
It's been funny of how repetitive these games have been all season, more than normal, I think, but the inconsistency of the Bills has been higher than normal. So, but it's been the same theme all year long. But the part I think McDermott and the EPA doesn't really register is the Bills bullied the Steelers, and that physical toll of Alec Anderson running at you and Connor McGovern tackling you down and Hayward getting frustrated, and the quarterback is 6'5", so when he's jumping, his legs in your belly, buddy. Like, it's fine, whatever. Don't get mad about it, because when you guys tackle people and you're at the bottom of a pile, your fingers end up in eyeballs and noses and crevices that they shouldn't belong in. So whatever, whatever. I think the part about the run game is the fatigue that it adds to the line and the linebacker, but it needs to be balanced with a good passing game. And not having Dalton Kincaid has been very detrimental to this Bills offense. Allen's numbers when Kincaid is on the field versus off the field, I don't have them here. I saw a tweet and had the comparison. I just remember the side with Kincaid was a lot better than the side without Dalton Kincaid. And he's the perfect guy for this build. I think he's so important to have him on the field when he can block and he can make these catches when he needs to and run the play action better, get these holes, because that first step when the linebackers have seen the same run play 26 times and then you're going to run play action right side wham like it's been a run play for 29 times, that's going to be open. So that mental game, the physical toll of the run game, I think maybe that's not an EPA, but that is the only credence that I will give to a run game is the wear and tear. And I mean, I'm sure EPA does clock effect, right? It does the ball time of possession. Well,
it's kind of an all-in-one, right? Yeah. Because the output is points, right? Like it's saying the only thing that matters is points, right? Yeah. So wearing down a team, if historically that led to scoring more points, then it's kind of baked in. Yeah, if that makes sense.
True.
So it is kind of a little bit all encompassing in that regard, but I'm not saying it's the be all end all stat or anything like that. But
it's the best stat I think that we have to measure efficiency of an offense.
Yeah. And again, like being an efficient run offense, awesome. Being an efficient pass offense, way more important in today's NFL. Even with the rushing renaissance that's kind of happening, right? It's like teams face lighter boxes. It's kind of a pendulum swing, right? The NFL kind of goes back and forth where it's like, offenses do this, defenses do this to adjust. Offenses do this to adjust the defense, and we kind of go back and forth, right? It's a cycle.
The cycle that is interesting, which the Bills missed, is that a team can have A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and Saquon Barkley, or Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Chase Brown. And Chase Brown is not an elite back, but he's better than what Devin Singletary was for the Bills. I mean, he's a 1,000-yard rusher last year, I believe, Chase Brown. Or the Lions. I mean, 2 stud running backs, but Jamison Williams and Amon-Ra St. Brown could go off for 150 yards apiece, depending on the game. So, but then Gibbs could also have 100. So that explosive run that Gibbs gets for 50 yards versus Jamison Williams taking a 10-yard slant, 80 yards, it's doable to have both. Like, you can do both. And this team desperately needs to have that. And I would be curious, again, I go all the way back to that McDermott Diggs conversation before OTAs or camp when whatever happened with that conversation where they discussed the path moving forward of this offense, how serious McDermott was on just like committing to this run game. Because if I'm Diggs and I'm just like, yo, Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill and they have Devon Achane, or Saquon, AJ Brown and Barkley, or whatever. He's just naming these 10 teams in the league that have 2 studs and a stud at running back and happen to have a good offensive line.
Yep.
And is McDermott just like, they're doing it the wrong way? Like that's that, and they're not going to win. They're not doing it the right way. Like, what is that like? Because McDermott knows this is so crazy to me, because he knows what needs to be done, and it gives me a little bit of hope that they had it one way, and I think my hope is that they are only doing this way because of the personnel that they have. Maybe because they knew that Diggs was the only guy that they had. He was getting doubled, and everybody else couldn't get open, so they had to switch to this this blended offense of double
heavier
wing.
run, this
weird offense,
extra offensive linemen. Kind of stuff.
But still have a threat with Josh. And it's, to me, again, they said they had to retool on the fly. They're eating the dead cap. They're trying to turn over this roster with a lot of draft picks. So my hope is they should be able to turn this roster pretty good between last year, this year, and next year, with the way that this cap is going to boom up with these. You kept your picks. You didn't trade them. You're seeing some returns on the ones you've made prior. So this offseason is so critical to hit these picks, and to, you're not in this retool mode now because you have the cap space, you have the draft capital, you have Josh at 30. So I think the way that this front office with Brandon Beane actively tried to get a wide receiver, they signed Mecole Hardman, they're bringing Gabe Davis back. They know that this isn't the best way to do it, but they might think it's their best way to win week to week, depending on their matchup. So I've been feeling bad about how critical I am, and then I don't feel as bad because we have Josh Allen and he's going to be 30 and he hasn't been to a Super Bowl. So I've been going back and forth on this, trying to rationalize why Sean's doing this. And that's my best thought, that I made peace with him. Like, okay, they did it one way for 4 or 5 years. Now they're doing it this way for 3 years because they had their cap situation. Now they got to redo it again. So this is their opportunity, and this is a big offseason. But it doesn't change the fact that you have Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins coming to town, and you need to win this game. So you don't have a win, or you're out against the Jets, or you have to beat the Eagles, or you have these, they're not all easy games left on the schedule. And
no, not at all.
You have the Texans chasing you down, and it's like, who do you want to win that game, Texans or Chiefs? Because you don't want to play either of them really in the playoffs. No. So I'm just hoping that because I think Sean, he's doing a decent job this year with the injuries that have existed on this team. Josh's stats as a quarterback are better than his MVP season stats. So it might drive me bananas, but they won 8 games. It looks different. Like your point always, it looks different as long as they win. It doesn't matter. But they haven't won every game. So we'll see. The playoffs are so wide open. You need to get there this year. You need it to happen. You cannot drop a game to the Bengals. You cannot drop another one to the, whatever. If you lose Bengals, Patriots, Eagles, you're like 7, you're 10-7, and you're hoping for help then. But you need to pick up one of those 3 games between the Bengals, the Eagles, and the Patriots to really feel good about what we have here going into the postseason. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, if this deep dive that I was kind of doing for this episode, if I were to bring it full circle and how this translates to predicting how the Bills season ends, because I think that this season has been so volatile that it's I'm less confident about how it ends, because it has been a little bit more up and down. Usually, honestly, all of the years that we've gone, so they've fluctuated between 14-3 or 13-4 and 11-6, right? They've modulated between those
every other year
win totals every other year.
We're on the 11-year season.
The 11 win season, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's the years prior, right? So it's the Denver year where they fire Ken Dorsey, right? They go on a 6-game win streak to end that season. They always, on those down years, they seem to finish the season hot, and even in some of the up years too, right? So it's we all usually feel pretty confident through December because this Bills team has been really good in December. So we kind of have a vision of what we think the playoffs will look like. This year, I'm not even sure. And looking at this, again, to bring it back full circle, what this Bills season's success depends on, I know it's great to see an awesome running game. The running game isn't what's going to hurt them, obviously. It's the passing game. It's going to come down to, can they put together a game plan to have a game like they did against Kansas City early this year, where they have, or even the Bucs, where they have a downfield explosive passing game. Yep. They have explosive plays, because explosive plays cover so many holes and flaws. Whereas, like, if you're playing this other style of game that we saw them slow play the Chiefs last year, and we saw them try to slow play other teams in the previous playoffs, you can't cover up for your mistakes, right? In the Tampa game, they made lots of mistakes early. And a couple of explosive plays later, you have a 2-possession win that wasn't even close in the fourth quarter, even though your defense could not stop a second string running back for their life. And the game wasn't even close. That's a good nutshell of, like, would you rather have an explosive running game or an explosive passing game? Right. It's like the Bills had the explosive passing game that game, and it was a 12-point difference. Right. In this past game against the Steelers, like, if Aaron Rodgers wasn't totally over the hill and didn't suck, he's still walking out onto the field down 2 possessions with like 6 minutes left. If that was actually Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow, we might be talking differently about this run game, because yes, they dominated the whole game, but a team that has a great passing offense can just come back like the Bills did against the Ravens. Yep. The Ravens were up by how much in that game, and you generated explosive plays, and it can get you right back into a game because you can get yards quickly. You get them all in one jump, and you don't have to run 6 plays to do it.
It's and like, that's been the Bills'
6
problem.
Good running plays equal a good explosive passing game. So it's like, how much more execution do you need for that? And that's why the value of having an explosive wide receiver is so high, and why I place so much of the blame of how the season has gone on Brandon Beane's shoulders for not recognizing that would rear its ugly head at a certain point.
We knew it would.
We all held hands and sung Kumbaya last year when Everybody Eats was killing it, and give them credit. Like, it worked, but it was like, again, it worked in spite of the players you had. It didn't work because everything was kumbaya excited. It's like, teams figured you out. They adjusted. And what's your counterpunch? Your counterpunch was to sign Josh Palmer, who can't stay on the field this year, and probably wasn't going to be the big difference maker anyway, if we're being frank. So again, I don't want to get negative, but because, again, this team they have the ability to put together a game like they did against Kansas City, and they could string together 3 of those and go win the Super Bowl. It's Josh frickin' Allen. Of course we can do that. But if he does it, it's not going to be because of what Brandon Beane did this offseason. It's going to be in spite of what Brandon Beane did this offseason.
Joey Bosa has a couple strip sacks, then he might.
That helps.
Might have
That's a great signing. Yeah. But the team's biggest need was ignored.
Yep.
It was just flat out ignored. And on top of that, he went off on the local radio hosts for asking the question. Not even criticizing, just asking the question.
So do you value this?
It's
a fair point. And also,
I'm out on Brandon Beane. I'm officially out. I'm out.
You just shouldn't treat people like that. You said it, you make yourself vulnerable. You make yourself vulnerable.
I need to find the clip from this offseason, because that's what I said. I was like, everyone's like, no, Brandon Beane didn't back himself into a corner. I love when GMs, put their stamp on things like that. He did.
Sure did.
And I was like, he's going to look like a clown if that seems to be the Achilles heel of the team this season. Where are we at? Mina Kimes is tweeting justice for Jeremy and Joe a couple weeks ago, because it's so obvious to even the casual fan what's going on. Yeah. And Brandon Beane knows it. He's out there making moves for wide receivers, and Gabe Davis is on the squad, and we all know how everything's gone. But
he's here. We have him. And to his credit, he tried to get Waddle, but he wouldn't give up first. Whatever. Didn't try hard enough. But I think he knows that he messed up.
He knows now.
I think he knows now. Yeah.
But
so if we're not going to fire him, that's the best I can say.
It's your job to know before it becomes a problem.
And that's, again, the whole idea with everything. You should have traded your picks a couple years ago when you had Diggs. You should have done this. You should have known this was coming. But there are
GMs that get fired for making that mistake once.
Yeah.
So
not in Buffalo.
Again.
Not in Buffalo.
There's a point to be made that there's been enough success here that a long leash is deserved.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think it is, when we do look back at this, if they don't win one soon, like,
waste.
It's going to be hard not to place a lot of blame on the guy who built the roster.
It's all on the head coach and the GM. Those are the two dudes. It's not anybody else unless you want to bring Terry down from whatever
Right.
world he's living in. But the way that you explain this with the run game also and how important this pass game is, I mean, it worked against the Steelers because you didn't get behind. And I was just thinking about it while they're doing these plays. I mean, it would have been maybe the second drive, third drive when they're down 7-0, and they incomplete on first down. They run it on second down, get stuck, and it's like a tunnel screen on third down, incomplete, punt. And I'm like, that drive right there against a good team will cost you the game, because a good team will come down and score on you, and now you're down 2 possessions. And now you can't do what you want to do. You have 1 touchdown wiggle room to give up. You can go down by 7 and stick to your run game. But if you go down 14, you have to be able to move the ball, because your defense is getting stuck out there too long. And this has been the Bills' fatal flaw, I think, for a long time, because they always have these little lulls where they do this stupid crap that's conservative in the middle of the field.
The tunnel screens, yeah.
And it's one of these things that I don't understand why they can't understand. Like these 3 and outs on these crappy play calls that don't get any yards, and your defense goes right back out there. You can do it against a bad team. You have no room for error against a good team. If they try this with Joe Burrow, and maybe Burrow comes down opening drive, they score, Bills get a field goal. Same set as the Steelers game. But then the Bills defense doesn't get a stop. And then the Bills are trying to run the ball. Maybe they go 8 plays, 9 plays, and they only get to the 50 and they punt, and then Burrow gets the ball again. And now you have less clock, and now you're down 3 scores. And it's just that way that Ravens game played out. And they got lucky to get the turnover to get back into the game. And they got lucky that Keon Coleman caught a tipped ball in the end zone for a touchdown. We're talking about totally something different. But you can't fall behind and win that way. And you can't rely on, if the other team gets the lead, your 30-second run defense is now the most important thing on the field, because the other team's going to run the ball and they're not going to pass the ball. They can only pass the ball when you get ahead, because they need to catch up to you. But if they're ahead, they are directly attacking the weakest part of your
What
field.
You're saying is the best run defense is leading the football game, right?
Yeah.
So this Bills team is like almost, I know they did it differently in the Ravens game, but it's like they're critically built to play from ahead.
Yeah.
I guess we'll see. If they can do that in the playoffs, they could string together a couple of wins. They could do it. But
I hope they do.
And also, I want to put all this in context too. Like, I don't want to just be a Debbie Downer and a whiner, because the story of the season isn't written yet, right?
No.
We could win the effing Super Bowl this
I
year.
think they can. I think they can. Yeah.
They absolutely can. But a team that can't win the Super Bowl this year, and I don't think I'm going to jinx anything, is that Steelers team that we faced. And I do want to shout out, did you see the greatest tweet of all time? I think everyone's mentioned it. It's a couple days old now, but it's really good. Someone tweeted, this is from Seth Rorabaugh. I don't want to say his name wrong. Rorabaugh.
Did not see this.
He said, this was right after the Steelers-Bills game. He said, Mike Tomlin will say something like, we can't eat soup with forks. We need spoons. Yeah. Then the Steelers will sign a 2018 Pro Bowler to the practice squad. And that's hilarious. First of all, because I read that in Mike Tomlin's voice, because he always had, that's the joke, because he always has a really good soundbite like that. That's like some kind of very basic metaphor. It's almost like the Leslie Frazier straw that stirs the drink thing. Like, it reminds me of that. Football coaches love their metaphors, right? Sean McDermott's got up.
I love mine.
It's coach speak. Yeah. I'm sure I'd love your metaphors too, Brandon. But the funny part is, like 24 hours after this tweet, the Steelers claimed Adam Thielen off of waivers, who was a 2018 Pro Bowler. So this tweet was also a prophecy.
That's funny.
Anyway, life imitates art.
Well, you know what, John? When the going gets tough and you got a couple L's, do you know what happens when you have a couple L's together and you use it to get tough? Get a W.
That's great. I feel good for anybody who didn't have to experience that in visual form and is only going to hear it. So.
Our JV coach said that in our parent meeting in front of like all the kids in the meeting. It was really funny because his delivery was perfect. We were like, all right, coach, we're good. You can sit down now. But it's so true, and I don't want to be them. And I feel like getting Darius Slay right now is kind of like, I don't know.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not. They're close, but yeah.
But you're right. You got to get to the dance this year because you can win it. I think you can win. Okay, you might be able to win it, but you definitely can go. If you play the Rams, maybe it's Matt Stafford's destiny this year. I don't know. He's playing great. But you can get there.
You get it down to one game. You're not going to have to win a 3-game series against the Rams or anything like that. That's there. But honestly, like I don't want to be negative, but I have this feeling of like we're going to look back at this year and see how the AFC turned out, and for the first time see some non-dominant quarterback make it to the Super Bowl, and just think of the roster management this past offseason as malpractice for not putting together the team that could have made the run. Because again, you've had to go through all these quarterbacks in these past postseasons, right? You haven't gotten past Joe Burrow. You haven't gotten past Mahomes 5 times. You've gotten past the Ravens. But obviously the luck there is probably going to run out at some point. I still wouldn't want to sign up to face them in the playoffs at any point. But the year that the field's wide open is the year that the Bills are also struggling alongside all these other teams. So I get that too. Like everyone's kind of coming to the realization that you still have to put a roster around a superstar quarterback. But everyone else, all those other teams are going to make the same adjustments that you need to make this year. So it's like they're going to fix their flaws. And those 4 quarterbacks, including Joe Burrow, are going to be right back at the top of the conference next year with the roster adjustments. And you're going to be competing against them next year for the 1 seed. And the 1 seed is going to be, 14-3, and the Bills are going to be 13-4, right? Or something like that. Or I'm not trying to project that, but anyway, this was the year to have an opportunity, and that opportunity is still there. It feels bad because they're not taking advantage of it, and they don't have the roster to take advantage of it right now. So, and I know injuries have played a part, so that's part of it too.
And for Brandon Beane to say we got to win now, we got to win in the future. Just like look what they did with Cam Newton. You went all in. Once, twice, maybe. I mean, he got aged out at age 31. Cam Newton aged so fast. And 31, 32, he went through injuries. But when is the future now for Brandon Beane? Like, when is Josh? When does it turn into now?
And what's wrong with going for that future with a build, knowing that you might have to break it down for a year and then build it back up, rather than just like, oh, we can't throw too much at this because we can't mortgage the future, right? It's like, look at the Rams who mortgaged their futures and didn't have a 1st-round pick for 8 years. And they had a 35-year-old quarterback at the time, 36-year-old quarterback. They mortgaged the future, sold the farm to try to make it, and it paid off, which is a huge gamble. Like there was no guarantee that actually would have happened. 2 years later, they're right back having good seasons again. And right now, they're probably the best team in the NFL. Just a couple of years removed from that, with the oldest version of that quarterback and a completely different roster build with young players that they were able to draft and develop. So it's like mortgaging the future is not, it's not like he's playing for his job right now, right? Brandon Beane as a GM, like he's got a 3-year leash, I feel like, where it's like, if the Bills have a down year, he's still not going to get fired if it's an intended build, right? It's so, I don't know. It's like, you've got the years, right? You've got enough time to say, hey, if I sell a couple 1st-round picks for Jalen Waddle or next year's 1st-round pick and it doesn't work out and we don't win this year, it's okay if we have a down year next year to really attack it the year after that. It's like, if you're only throwing 80% every year so that you don't sacrifice anything next year, you're just hoping that you're going to get lucky in the playoffs at a certain point, rather than having the dominant roster that should win the Super Bowl. So,
and not to crap on the Rams, but Puka Nacua gets a 3rd-round pick. Is a 3rd-round pick. You need to be
he's a 7th-round pick.
Puka's a 7th,
6th or 7th-round pick. Yes, I think he's a 6th.
I thought he was 3rd, 5th. So we're all wrong.
We're all wrong. 5th-round pick. All right.
But the point is, they took a receiver later in the draft. You need to hit on some of these guys. They're D linemen. They're young, strong D linemen. None of these guys are premier picks for their team. They're all hidden gems. They all developed really well. And we've given McDermott some credit for developing talent in the middle of the rounds. He hasn't hit on those high picks. He hasn't, and it's a huge, huge gap in our build. So do what you got to do to get the best players you need to here. But I don't think the down year with Josh Allen is 7-10 or 8-9. I still think your floor with Josh Allen is 9 wins. And however you get there.
And maybe that floor being so high has, how do I say this?
Clouded him.
What's the metaphor? It like you learn the wrong lessons from it.
Yeah.
I don't know. High on the wrong stuff. How do I even describe that? But again, like learning the wrong lessons, because again, Josh Allen covers up flaws so well that maybe you think you don't need to address them. That's exactly what happened this offseason. Josh Allen was so good, won MVP with a skeleton crew that you're like, let's run it back with a skeleton crew at wide receiver and hope that it works again. And I just think that's malpractice from your GM. So anyway, sorry, I'm not trying to be so negative this episode, because I do feel, we got interesting matchup this week against the Bengals. We'll know a lot about their passing defense, because this is the ultimate litmus test for any passing defense in the NFL. And Joe Burrow's dangerous and looks like he got right back into form. So the good news is the Bengals defense also is absolute phooey.
Yeah, which is exciting, because I would like to see
an explosive Bills offense
against an explosive Bengals offense. I say it every time that we play a good team. I hope they score so they can let Josh do something. Like with Tampa, it was cool because we were ahead, but they were still scoring. It never got close enough where I was worried, but it was close enough that Josh could be all gas the whole time. And I like those games. Those are fun. I like to see who we are when your back's pressed against the wall, because that's who you are, right? And sometimes they don't have it. They don't have that guy to get it for them.
Against the Texans, against the Patriots.
A lot of games where they have the ball and they can't score to win. Chiefs, whatever. But
honestly, I think it's everyone blamed the defense last year, and probably rightfully so. But when it came down to it, they had the ball and couldn't score. So
I'm excited for Sunday.
I think we took the wrong lessons out of last year. I think we really did.
Yeah.
So
this game it can't be like the divisional round game. There's not going to be snow. It's going to be cold. I believe it's the coldest kickoff of the year. I was reading
so
with
far?
The lows of 18 and the high of 30. So it'll be chilly if you're going down to the stadium. 1:00 kick, which is exciting, different from the 4:00 kick.
Yep.
Make sure you bundle up, get ready to go, be loud, make this Joe Burrow-led offense struggle at the line of scrimmage, make them struggle with their calls and their pass protection, and defense, do the best that you can. All right, do the best. Yeah. Do your best. Give Josh a chance. So
even this defense has been semi-serviceable this year. It's crazy.
At times, yes.
Yeah, they have their shortcomings, but honestly, it's like most of the time they've done enough, right?
It's tough to not have Joey Bosa this week, I think.
Yeah, that will be unfortunate, and also the loss of Michael Hoyt this season too. Huge detriment. So I'll give Bean credit for the defense that he put together this year, but again, just ignored the
next on the offense now. Let's do it on the offense.
I don't know. Sean McDermott is not an offensive magician. He is a defensive magician. Yeah. So it's like, do you want good players on offense that can score points and then make what you can with the defense? Or do you want to have this dominant defense or invest in the defense that still gives up the most rushing yards in the NFL, no matter what you have?
John, I want coach-proof players. And you know what I learned this term from? I learned it from myself. Because every now and then, when I started coaching basketball, I was not a good basketball coach. But I had a couple dudes. I could drop a bad play. Things go sour. They still score. All right? So give me a guy that can play through this. And the offense is going to need work too. We could talk about this any other time, but McGovern contract, the Deion's 32, whatever you want to say, Ty Johnson's contract, whatever receiver you want to put anywhere on this field. You really need two, I think. So I think it's time. And Joey Bosa is a free agent. So it'll be interesting. There's going to be a big change this year, but to focus on this year right now, you got to get there and you got to give it a shot because you don't know what's going to happen. It's so wide open. You need to do it. And if you lose to freaking Daniel Jones in the playoffs, or you lose to Bo Nix in the playoffs, or you lose to CJ Stroud, I'll be pissed. But
even Drake May, honestly, at this point, I don't know. Last question for you before we sign off here. What do the Patriots have to do for you to trust them? Or do you already trust them?
You go back and you listen to my predictions I'm stuttering because I was so high on New England to start this season. I said it, man. They're going to be good. Mike Vrabel, they were the threat to our division, and they had a softball schedule, and a softball schedule with a developing quarterback is exactly what you want to get this kid confidence to be able to read defenses when you don't have all-stars on the other side of the lineup. So it was a good mix for them. I'm not happy about it, but it was predictable, and I still think we could beat them. So Allen will be better than May until May beats him in the playoffs. I think that's the line of demarcation for a young quarterback. Never been in the playoffs.
Yeah. Like, again, I don't want to go Allen versus May. I think it's too early. But again, this Patriots roster, like, even though the Patriots beat them, the Bills still have better Super Bowl odds than the Patriots, by the way. Even the Patriots which is
interesting. Something. Yeah.
And honestly, like if you ask me down in my gut, if the Patriots and the Bills played in the playoffs today, who would win? I think gun to my head, I'd take the Bills.
I would take the Bills too. No matter what. I mean, until they do it. So
that's what I'm asking. Like, what do the Patriots have to do in the regular season? Is it just beat the Bills? Honestly, that might be.
No, I don't, because it'll be home.
Or is there nothing that they could do in the regular season except for playoff wins?
There's nothing they can do in the regular season.
Okay. All right. I honestly, I don't think that's that far off. I might be on board with you with that.
Drake May can win MVP is for all I care. And they get to January. It's a different game. It's a different game.
Yeah. Especially for young quarterbacks.
Yeah. So if you got to play a guy, we always talk about playing a team 3 times is tough. So the Bills have struggled with it with the Dolphins, playing them 3 times. That third win is always a little tricky. Skylar Thompson at quarterback, it's still tricky. So I'll be curious. I hope we play him again. I do hope we play him in the playoffs. That would be cool.
Yeah. And even as the 1 seed, if they get the bye, they're not going to get a pushover matchup in round 2. So
I don't think there's any pushovers this year going in. No. Maybe, I don't know. I mean, Jacksonville has, they all have strengths. Maybe. They all have weaknesses.
They all have strengths, but your low seeds are going to be Lamar. And I can't count the Chiefs out. I think the Chiefs are making the playoffs. I will. It's kind of that one. It's like, I don't know. It's like the Demogorgon in Stranger Things. It's not dead until it's officially mathematically eliminated dead. Yeah. It'll keep coming back. It's
I think of you.
It's like
John,
a fungus.
When I was so down on that 6-6 Bills team after that loss to the Eagles, and how down, and you're like, they're going to run the table, bro. They're going to run the table. And I was like, I don't see it. So Chiefs have a hard schedule. If the Texans could just get them out of the way now, I'd be cool with that, because if they lose this game,
then we can root for the Texans to lose after that.
So like the Texans pose a good opportunity to beat them with Nico Collins and their 2 edge rushers. So I'm rooting for the Texans this weekend, who are 3.5 point underdogs. Talk about an interesting line at home, but we'll see what happens. So come to the game, be loud. I don't know if there's am I missing anything else?
I don't think so.
I'm excited.
I'm
excited for this game.
This quick episode turned into a good one because we were just going on for a while here.
Yeah, right. That was 20 minutes.
Here we go. Yeah. All right. Well, you guys know where to find us on all platforms at Not Buff Podcasts. Yeah. We'll be back next week, hopefully celebrating a Bills win and looking forward to who we got the next week after that. Is it the Patriots game coming up right after that?
Yep.
So that'll be a big one.
It will be.
So yeah. Big December games for this Bills teams. Lots of litmus tests.
Last thing for you, John. Josh Allen overall in December 21-9. Since 2022, he's 12-1. So
that's pretty good.
Good numbers.
That's pretty good.
Yep.
Let's see if we can keep it going.
Keep it rolling.
All right. We'll see you guys next week. Go Bills.
Go Bills.